Imagine you read over 20 years ago that the entire European monarchy are related to each other because they are all descendants of pharaohs and Cleopatra. And you tell other people and they're like, yeah, right. But then you yourself didn't connect the dots. If all the European monarchy were descendants of blacks, therefore it was blacks enslaving blacks. No wonder they painted their pictures white, trying to hide the shame of their family past.
Now let's read how he was described by a contemporary author from The Present State of Germany in 2 volumes, published in 1738. Quote, Frederick Augustus II, King of Poland and Elector of Saxony, was a prince of great stature, strength, and dexterity, of a swarthy but majestic countenance. Let's make sure we understand exactly what these words meant in the early 1700s. From an etymological dictionary published in 1726. Swarth.
Notice the dates. Don't forget the dates. 1726.
Black, darkly brown. Swarthy, dark complexion. Black, dusky, tawny. Countenance, looks, face, visage. Does this portrait on Wikipedia look swarthy of visage or countenance? Let's look at another portrait of Augustus II. This portrait is kept in the Museum of Ethnology in Dresden. It's named the Moor's Quadrille, made in 1706. We know this is Augustus II because his title is written in German under...
Don't forget, Cleopatra had kids with Greece and Rome. Augustus Caesar.
The writer, like the other 3 nobles. The museum claims this painting portrays Augustus and other nobles in a parade dressed as Moors. In other words, pretending to dress and have a dark complexion like a Moor.
In other words, it went from Egypt to Greece to Rome, and then it took over Europe. Same family.
Certainly, masquerades were not unheard of during carnivals or other festivities in Europe. For example,
Elizabeth was black.
Are exceptions that happen to reinforce the narrative that black people only had a role of servitude.
King James was black. They were black.
There is no better example for this than the transformation of Queen Elizabeth I, from her first-hand accounts to her repainted figures. In the calendar of state papers and manuscripts relating to English affairs on page 1058, when Ambassador Giovanni Michel writes, quote, Of this sister of hers, I must remind your serenity that after the repudiation of Queen Catherine, the present Queen's mother, she was born of Henry VIII, and of his second wife, Anne Boleyn, an Englishwoman and of noble birth, although 2 years afterwards she was beheaded for adultery.
We all know Henry VIII was black.
My Lady Elizabeth was born in September 1533, so she is now 23 years old. She is a young woman whose mind is considered no less excellent than her person, although her face is comely rather than handsome, but she is tall and well-formed, with a good skin, although swarthy. End quote.
Swarthy, but look how she looks today in today's paintings. And notice her dates, 1533 to 1603. And what was happening around that time? The transatlantic slave trade. What else was happening? The Arab slave trades. Don't forget, Cleopatra had children that went to the east and went to the north, went to Europe, went to Asia. Therefore, they are also Arabs from North Africa to Spain.
And if you wondered what swarthy means in Old English, it means of dark complexion or black. And yet when we look at portraits and paintings for Elizabeth, she is depicted with the whitest of white skins, with what happens to be curly red hair. Take a note of this, as it will come to be of importance as we progress. In yet another account of Elizabeth in the book English and Scottish History, she is described by Sir James Melvin as follows. Quote, Her hair was more reddish than yellow, curled in appearance naturally. She desired to know of me what color of hair was reputed best, and whether my queen's hair or hers were best, and which of them two was the fairest. End quote. Well, it is not uncommon at all for black women to be born with curly red hair, as you can see in these many examples, swarthy, of dark complexion with curly red hair, and again swarthy dark complexion with curly red hair.
Okay, we know she's black. Who else was black?
How did William Shakespeare, famous English poet, playwright, and actor, describe himself in the early 1600s? From the autobiography of Shakespeare, a fragment, page 57 and 58, quote, I had some good and dear and trusty friends in London, and made merry with them for nigh to a week together. There were Ben Jonson, a witty and scholarly and a merry rogue, who was very close to my heart, and John England, an honest man, and Edward England, as honest as John but shy and pale, and Edward Sholton, he who bought my third play, and Will Shakespeare. That was I, a small dark man with great eyes, whom the women loved not a little, but who loved them not too much.
Don't forget, from Spain to Africa, it's only 9 miles. 2 continents. And who was there in Europe?
I write music with substance. Yeah. Never wonder where we come from. Them type is up way, but we just no response. Yeah. Them a want.
Therefore, blacks were enslaving blacks. Because we were everywhere around the world. Hello.
All the black Mexicans. What about the black Russians?
It was a black that started the Russian language. Hello.
Or the black Asians that they don't never show you. They'll tell you that the oldest human they ever found was in the middle of Africa, right?
Ethiopia. 4,000 years ago. But thanks to science fiction, they want to say it was 4 million years ago to line up with some ice age theory and dinosaurs and all that. No. Life started in Ethiopia exactly 7,516 years ago, according to the Ethiopian calendar, which is the oldest civilization on the world.
You think they was just in Africa first? Nah. It's in the whole, every fucking continent. How can a black woman be as bright as her and still be a black woman?
Hello, Psalm 87. Of Zion it should be said, with Cush, this one was born there, and respecting Zion it will be said, each and every one was born in her. Zion is just another name for Ethiopia. So everybody was born here. That's where we're all from.
If you looked at her DNA, you gonna see black, because she got melanin. But she is mutated melanin. It's still melanin, but this is albinoism. You see that in every species of everything. Then you can see an albino polar bear.
Hello, start to wake up. Don't forget, Europe was literally named after a pagan black goddess by the name of Europa.
So now, why am I bringing that up? Because y'all heard the term European. Y'all just quick to apply that to a light-skinned being. Well, the truth is, your original Europeans were melanated, dark-skinned people. Your original Europeans were the Moors. See, that's why they call them, you hear the term Indo-European and all these prefixes on it. They put the prefixes on there to say, oh, these Indo-European Abians. Now y'all done dropped the prefix and y'all just like, them Europeans.
So them black Europeans were enslaving blacks from the continent of Africa. And now today they repainted their face to hide their shame.
They came over here and then they did this stuff to the Indians. Well, guess what? The original Europeans were melanated people.
Hello, start to wake up, man. Now their family is in Africa, acting like, just reaping, and acting like, no, blame it on the whites.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such an extent that you bleach?
Basically, the blacks had kids with the whites. So today you will see like Charles looking like he's white. But if you go back in his family ancestry, they were blacks. Hence, during the slave trade, there were blacks enslaving blacks. But today, you consider all of them repainted as white. So that's messed up.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate?
Even this.
A young Nigerian named Osazua was sent by his parents to Tokyo in Japan to attend university there a few years back. When he arrived in Tokyo, he made friends with the local Japanese students at his university and, of course, told them his name, Osazua. When he did, they looked at him in shock and said to him, "Are you joking? That's a pure Japanese name." And he said to them, "Of course it's not Japanese. I'm from the Edo ethnic group in Nigeria." And the friends looked at him in even greater shock and said to him, "What did you just say your ethnic group was?" He repeated, "Edo." And then they said to him, "You've got to be kidding. Edo is the former name of Tokyo." And he asked them who started the Edo Empire in Japan. And they said he was a military commander named Ieyasu. Osa was in total shock. The title of the military commander of the Edo Empire, i.e. the Benin Empire of Nigeria, who was second in power only to the king himself, was Ieyasu. A young Nigerian.
Don't forget, the entire continent used to be called Ethiopia. So, Jah guide, wake up. One love.
Plurality without no partiality. Hey, all of the youth them a back it where Jah lead them. Don't be down pressure and no break them stride. This is the Lord and way up them over Jah.